This is the place where Kansans of note come to talk about life, love, and career, and all the things that matter. This week, we welcome a local television executive whose connection to Wichita goes back to the beginning, and that helps inspire him to make community service the focus of his life and career. Most commercial television stations are owned by large corporations and operated by a parade of managers who are just passing through. But KSN's Vice President and General Manager, Steve South, is different. His Wichita roots go back 150 years. His great-great-grandfather was one of the city's first settlers. And now South is determined to carry on that legacy by celebrating and working to improve the community. Having spent 9 years at Cake TV and now 3 at KSN, South has emerged as the Dean of Kansas Television Executives. He knows Kansas like the back of his hand and understands that broadcasting is first and foremost a public service. On this edition of One-on-One, we'll delve into that. We'll also discover how this local TV power player plans to keep his station relevant in an increasingly cluttered and confusing media landscape. And we'll learn how his service to others extends beyond the broadcast spectrum into some of the darkest corners of society. This should be an interesting and inspiring half hour as we go one-on-one with Steve South right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Victor Hogstrom. I'm excited to have the Vice President and General Manager of KSN, Steve South, at the table. Steve, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Always enjoy seeing you.
And, let's begin by me quoting to you what you have said.
Right.
And it is, and this is you, I believe I'm in this position to help lead KSN and inspire our team for service to our community through my heritage and the dedicated prayers of my forefathers. Help us understand that.
Well, I've got a great team at KSN, but my heritage goes back 150 years. I traced it through my ancestry back to the 1880 census.
Wow.
And from there on forward, up to my parents meeting here in Wichita and having their first date at Lawrence Dumont Stadium. This is where my heritage is from. And whenever we would come to visit, Grandpa would always make sure also we were at church on Sunday morning, and I know they'd be very proud of where I'm at now and that I'm serving this same community that they dedicated their lives to, and I'm just honored to be there.
But you grew up in Kansas City.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Well, my dad got a job with Milgram's Grocery Store. It's a chain of about 40 grocery stores throughout the Midwest region, and in produce, and that's moved us to Kansas City. But we were always coming back to see Grandpa and Grandma here in Wichita, and.
So Wichita was always on your mind?
Oh, it was a regular trip back through the Flint Hills to come back and visit relatives in Wichita. Definitely.
So what was it like growing up, Steve, in those days? What did you have in mind becoming? And your father was in the grocery store business.
He was, and I worked in the grocery stores as well. And but I always loved the media and knew at an early age that I wanted to do something in radio or television or newspaper. And recently my mom, who is still with us, gave me a cassette tape that she had and had discovered that I made in high school of being a disc jockey.
Oh.
I thought about bringing it, but I listened to it and it was too embarrassing to bring and play.
But you did go to college after all of your growing up days.
Yes.
On the Banana scholarship.
It ended up as an unusual circumstance, and I think I'm the only person that I know of that Chiquita Bananas paid for my college scholarship. I always wanted to earn a sports scholarship.
How did that happen?
Well, they were having a contest while I was in high school, and it was for the best idea to merchandise bananas, and my dad invented a machine that was basically a refrigeration unit, display unit as well, that kept the bananas at 52 degrees, and you could close it up, and the gases, natural gases that help the fermentation and the ripening process. And he won the grand prize, the national prize from Chiquita Banana for that invention, and the prize was a college scholarship, full ride to the student of your choice. And I was very pleased that my dad chose me as the student of his choice. And so I went to KU journalism school on a Chiquita Banana scholarship, and that's.
I want to talk about that in a moment, but tell us what happened to that machine that was created. Did your dad become a millionaire?
No, he had hoped to, and he wanted to actually leave his job with in the grocery business to do that company only. And it had moderate success for a couple of years, and they were in the stores. But I think ultimately they decided that the price, and then those days I know it was in the $2,000, $2,500 range to produce those, was more than it was feasible, and but I think he was just ahead of his time, and it was a great idea, and somebody else may bring that up in the future.
So you decided to use that scholarship for journalism at KU.
Yes. I could have gone anywhere in the country, but that was close. I wanted to stay close to home, and I liked their journalism program.
But how did you decide to become a journalist?
I loved media. I loved watching the old TV shows. I loved listening to radio. I loved reading the newspaper, and I knew that's what was exciting to me about, hey, what do you want to spend the rest of your life doing? So it's amazing. I often ask the people that I work with and the other staff members, when did you decide that you wanted to get into television? And almost all of them, it was either grade school or junior high, high school, definitely before they even went to college. Most of them knew this is something they wanted to do.
But you were thinking one career or the other, the ministry or journalism.
That was one. I know I went to my high school counselor and told her I was thinking about these two directions, and realized you don't really go to college and major in ministry, and she kind of gave me an education that you would then go after college to seminary, and but the way things progressed, I ended up and with no regrets in broadcasting.
But you have served one of the darkest corners of our country, in the prison.
I've done that as well, yes.
Ministering to the prisoners. How did that come about?
Well, at church in the Kansas City area, one Sunday, our minister spoke to the whole congregation and said, if you only come to church once a week, maybe you need to not come here and do something in the community. And we have a suggestion, because they broadcast the weekly service for the prisoners at the Lansing Federal and State Prison, and they needed host to be there for the church, and I thought, okay, I'll do that and help mentor the prisoners, and that was an eye-opening experience.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So I can hear it now, the Reverend Steve sound.
No. I will tell you this, you walk into a prison and there's two very powerful groups there. One is the prisoners and one is the prisoner guard. And I knew I was in neither one of those and comfortable. But it was also a very eye-opening experience. And within a few weeks, every week when I would come to minister or mentor, the prisoners I were working with would wait out front, because it literally was the highlight of their week. And you realized how much it meant to them, and it meant even more to me provide that service to them.
Give you a sense of satisfaction.
It did. And I was so thankful when I drove home afterwards saying, I will never jaywalk again because I am not going to risk anything. You do not want to live that life. There's no doubt about it.
So you graduated, received a journalism degree, and
Yes.
your first job was with the company that you now work with, but
Yeah.
it was in a very small market, Garden City.
It was.
How did you get that first job?
Well, that was kind of interesting that I didn't know what I was going to do, and they had a bulletin board in the KU journalism building, and they had little index cards of potential jobs, and I took one down and kept it, and it was production at Wichita and Garden City, and ended up getting the job. And
As a reporter?
Yes, and actually I brought a little show and tell. This was my very first camera that I used, and it is one thing I can tell you, it's 16 millimeter film, and we processed it. We had processing there. There was no videotape, at least not out to Garden City yet, and there was obviously no digital products, and it's a very heavy machine, and it's gotten so much heavier in the last 40 years. But yeah,
Yes,
it was
and
40
you had
years.
to shoot, develop, and splice, edit the film.
Yeah, all before. At 3 o'clock was when we were set to process the film, and by 4 o'clock we had to have it processed and sliced and ready for the 5 o'clock news every night. So, as well as commercials, were going through the same processing.
So how has news changed today from those days?
Oh, well, we were talking, I mean, the quality of your own cell phone now is high def, and you can use those in an instant, but the digital products that we have and the camera capabilities are just phenomenal and really exciting to see how technology has advanced, and as has our product and our delivery process. Of course, not only broadcast, but now we're online or on your phone, and we're there 24 hours a day, every day of the year.
So you left news and got into advertising sales.
Yes, yes.
Why that change?
Well, truth be known, after a year in production and news and commercial production, I kept noticing that the nicer cars in the parking lot, the salespeople drove, and I said, I'm ready for a nicer car, and I'm going to get into sales. And I never dreamed and didn't see myself as a salesman, but what I am, I realize now after having done it that I'm empathetic with people, and I want to help them, and I believe in my product and knew I had something that could help them, and that's what drove me. And eventually people see that you're sincere and that you care about their problems and are wanting to help, and it works for me.
So becoming a general manager later on, how did that happen?
Well, steps up through national sales manager, local sales manager, general sales manager. I would move wherever the opportunity was to advance my career, and met my wife in my very first sales job in St. Joe, Missouri. And she's helped support me with love and guidance all the way as well. It's nice to have somebody that understands the business and is there by your side every night.
We'll be talking about your family a little later, but
Okay.
I want you to tell us about that first experience as a general manager of a television station and the challenges that you faced.
Well, that was here in Wichita at Cake TV, actually, and I was at Cake for 9 years, and it was a challenging time. Usually, as you and I have had some of the same history as far as the opportunities, and when you get a station management job, there's some improvement that's expected and needed most often, and that's where we were, and I'm really proud of what that team accomplished. And it is always, I used a lot of sports analogies because it is a team sport, and you can't do these things on your own. You need to be able to assemble the team and inspire them to work together and be part of something that's bigger than yourselves. And part of that is also serving the community and just making this a better place to live. And we had some great success. And I would say the peak of that was winning the Edward R. Murrow for overall excellence, which is a national award given to one station of our size, and we won that, and it's something I couldn't do,
Right.
and really no individual can do, but as a team we were able to accomplish that.
But then after Cake, you left Wichita,
Mm-hmm.
where you wanted to be, and went somewhere else. Give us a little quick rundown
Yeah.
before coming back to Wichita.
I will, although I would never have left Wichita if the company I was with, Chronicle, owned the station, and they were third generation owner, and they decided to divest and cash in everything. And so in 2000, when those situations happen, normally managers need to look for another opportunity.
Right.
So yeah, I've made a number of moves since then, and went to Cincinnati, Las Vegas, back to Kansas City, up to Michigan, and then finally, in meeting with Nexstar, I was able to say, of all the stations you own, which is over 100 markets and over 170 stations and more in the future, that the one place I want to be is Wichita. I'd had a great experience here. My heritage goes back to the 1800s. My grandkids are nearby, and there's no place I want to be more than right here.
So how does that heritage play into your life in Wichita and your management?
Yeah. Well, when you look back and think, and I have a picture in my office of my great-great-grandfather, who was an original settler here within a few miles of here, and with nothing but a homestead, and you carry that all the way through to my grandsons now, and the life I want for them, and we're all Kansans, and it means a lot to me. I believe that they not only would be proud, but I believe they had prayers along the way, and I'm also real emotional about the Keeper of the Plains. My grandmother on my dad's side was a full Native American, and I know what the Keeper of the Plain represents, and how the Native Americans, especially from Texas and Oklahoma, were moved right here and placed on the river, and that's why the Native American Center is there. And that's part of my heritage as well, and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of having an original settler, as well as each one along the way that I got to know or didn't know in person.
And so it is that dedicated prayer of your forefathers you were talking about.
Yeah, I believe that honoring them and making Wichita a better place would be, if not something they actually had hoped for, something they would be proud of.
What is your management philosophy as a television station manager?
A couple of things. I believe this business should be fun, and it's exciting.
I agree.
It should be, but it doesn't. You also have a great responsibility, and you should be very grateful at whatever level you have, wherever you start. And when I was running camera or processing film, I'm still proud of. I'm a part of something that I want to do. Not only my job well, but I look at it as a team, and I want us to win, and I want us to do the best job for our community and provide the best news and entertainment and just a good reflection and community service. We do so much in the community, and I hope that one thing I remember my dad telling me is always leave a place better than you find it, and I hope that we're doing that, and that I leave a legacy that is really my crowning moment of a 40-year career now.
What do you love about your job, and what do you not love about it?
I love, number one, the team we have. I mentioned that you often inherit a station in need, and when I got here, we had 4 department heads that I needed to fill positions. So basically, which in hindsight was a real blessing, because it allowed me to handpick people that I feel had the same philosophy and really love the city. They all have deep roots in Kansas and across the state. And I envision that long after I'm gone, they will still be here carrying on the traditions, and that they in turn have built a staff, and we have just a team I'm very proud of. So I would say that's the number one thing, is I have assembled a team that far surpasses what I even envisioned, and I'm just excited by that every day.
Well, you know, we play a little game on this program, and this one you will have to fill in the blanks.
All right.
Are you ready for it?
Sure.
Okay. The first one is, my favorite kind of television show is?
Comedy. I enjoy a break from real life and just laughing at comedies.
Right.
And if it's not that, it's sports. It's usually one of the two. And I'm not a big fan of drama, because life seems to have enough drama, and that I don't want to add to it. But that's my own personal preference.
Right. When I was younger, one thing I wish I would have done is?
I'm pretty pleased with my past and where it's led. I guess I would have do a little more due diligence on each one of my positions, and just known what I was getting into. And I look back now and I say, you learn so much along the way. And I don't have regrets, but you learn about how I could have progressed faster as far as moving a team along in many instances.
My greatest fear is?
Disappointing others and myself.
My greatest hope is?
To, at the end of my days, look back and be grateful for the opportunities and the legacy we're leaving.
My ideal day consists of?
Turning on the TV or looking at our online, getting info, and being proud of what we're presenting, and just knowing that it's serving so many people, and that's really rewarding. And there's nothing in my life, I feel, other than raising a family and having a great marriage, that I professionally, I'm very proud of the job we're doing.
The best way to deal with frustrating people is?
Don't hire them.
But you don't know that until afterwards.
You know what? I don't get angry. I've learned that few people perform well or respond well to that. So I think just hopefully giving them educational guidance and perspective, and that the years of experience I have can be relayed in a positive environment.
The most important lesson I have learned in life is?
That there's a happy marriage between your career, your family, your faith, and that they can all work together and work together for good. I want to relay this too, that we're spending a lot of time in colleges recruiting journalists that are looking for their first opportunity. And I'm able to tell them, first of all, I was there too 40 years ago, and here I am now. But whatever your dream is, we can fulfill it. We can fulfill it here in the state, or because of the size and the leverage of our company, you want to go coast to coast, we can accommodate that as well. But looking back now, and my dreams have all come true. And I'm really, and they were here all along. You don't have to leave Kansas, and that's another message.
Right.
Kansas has so much to offer, and I'm proud of that as well.
So Steve, if you were to end your career, it were all over, how would you like to be remembered?
That I brought value and inspired others to seek that and to work and give their best to make this a better community, to serve them. And something else I'm proud of, that I don't know if we'll win this, but we're up for an NAB Community Service Award, National Award right now. We'll find out in the next week or two. I hope we get it, but if not, I know we're being considered for it.
Right.
And those things, it's not just reporting what happened that day and selling ads. It all comes together, and community service is so valuable and so rewarding if you bring that in. And I'm talking to somebody in public television, so I know you well know that. So
I was about to say you also make a good public television manager.
Well, I considered those opportunities along the way, but no, things always, the doors opened in a different direction.
Right, right. So television managers are struggling with keeping their stations relevant in this cluttered media environment with digital high def. How are you doing yours? How are you managing your affairs?
I'm thrilled with our website. We just won Station of the Year, and we've won an Edward R. Murrow for our website, and we're knee deep in that. And our corporation, Nexstar, makes sure that that's an added element, not just an element. It's many times we have digital first is our motto, and so we want to be the news and provide it as fast as we can, and many times that's online, and many times it's on your phone, and it will be there again at the 5, 6, and 10, and again in the morning. But we're definitely in the forefront of that, and will be. I see our industry being just as strong 40 years from now as it was. And I can tell you along the way, people say, well, television's days are numbered, and but if you provide, here's a couple things. We're here for you, that's one of our mottos, and also we're loving living local. And those are what we do, and if you're doing that, no one else can come in and just take that away from you. And you have a history of 60, 70 years of doing that and providing that, and we're in every home. It's also amazing to me that I will drive 6 hours up to the corner of Nebraska and Colorado, and I'm still in our viewing area.
Right.
You go in a hotel and you're still going to watch our newscast. We cover the whole state, so yeah, it's a challenge, but it's exciting. If people would say, or staff, well, that wasn't my job, that's not what I was hired to do. Our job changes every day. Our industry is, the technology changing, our delivery systems change, and we all have to adapt daily because it's a fast-moving industry, and that's part of, that's the excitement of it.
So true, so true. You didn't talk about your family, and I promised we're going to do that.
Oh, well, that's right.
You have a lovely wife.
I have a great wife.
Grandkids?
Grandkids, yes, and I just, I always thought by this time I might be thinking about retiring and on a beach, but I found the most enjoyable job, rewarding, that my whole career has helped prepare me for. And then I've got grandkids, and I never dreamed how much of an impact that was going to make on me, and being close to them and being a part of their lives is my dream come true now.
Steve South,
yes,
humanitarian, broadcaster, and almost a minister.
I don't know about this.
It's been a pleasure
well,
having
thank you. Anytime. I enjoyed this as well.
And thank you for watching this edition of One-on-One. If you have a question or comment about the program, please send us an email. oneonone@kpts.org is the address. Until next time, I'm Victor Hogstrom. Take care.